Cavalry Sergeant R. Lee Ermey here. Listen up. Did you ever wonder how warriors on the battlefield went from throwing sticks and stones to this? Then this is your lucky day, because on this episode of Lock and Load, I'm raining down some serious firepower. That's right, I'm talking helicopters. And you're gonna see how they went from fly-by-the-seat-of-your-pants prototypes to precision airborne destruction. Almost like the 4th of July. Perfect for both weapon and warrior. Fantastic, no question about it. Hoorah! So strap yourself in, because here we go. It's time to lock and load. The first helicopters whirled into the sky way back in 1907, but it was a good 30 years before the helicopter was introduced to the battlefield. After World War II, choppers were first used by the military mostly for search and rescue missions or delivering supplies into forward areas. Some also became first-rate troop carriers. By Vietnam, our boys are riding helicopters into battle the way they once rode horses into combat. In 1965, the 1st Cavalry Division turned in their saddles and stirrups for rotor blades and landing skids. From then on, they became known as the 1st Air Cavalry. But in the early days of Vietnam, these birds were pretty much sitting ducks. Unarmed choppers flying into hot LZs were coming under heavy enemy fire, and they needed to protect themselves. It was time to arm up. Ugh. Pretty soon, just about every helicopter in the fleet started sprouting weapons like spikes on a porcupine, from miniguns to rocket launchers. Some genius figured out that guns and helicopters kind of went together, like kick and butt. It all started with this bird right here. It's the Bell UH-1 Iroquois, but you can just call it Huey. 1959, Huey Iroquois. Range, 293 miles. Speed, 195 miles per hour. Maximum altitude, 10,000 feet. Soon our guys were strapping just about every weapon you can imagine to the Huey. Machine guns, rockets, and grenade launchers. What started out as an unarmed flying troop transport became an airborne dealer of destruction. Yeah! This was a big step up, but it was the Huey's original role that gave it its name. Helicopter Utility, HU for short. Huey, it's a no-brainer. Today here at Camp Pendleton, California, Marine Corps Aircraft Group 39 fly the latest Huey. I'm here with Sergeant Cortez. Now, Sergeant Cortez is the crew chief of this Huey helicopter. You're 22 years old and you're in charge. You own this $26 million helicopter, right?
That's correct, Gunny, it's mine.
And another thing you own, which is first and foremost, is this 50 caliber machine gun, correct?
Yes, Gunny.
Sergeant Cortez has promised me a joyride, and I get joy from this. The Browning 50 caliber machine gun. It's one of the most powerful machine guns ever invented. Back in Vietnam, 50s and M60s were used for helicopter air-to-ground warfare, just like we still do today. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna watch those tracers. I never did pay any attention to the rear sight aperture, but I would line up on my target. Now, if we're flying and we're going in this direction here, there's gonna be a certain amount of Kentucky windage involved, is there not?
There is.
Now, if you're not a gunner, you may not know that Kentucky windage is the compensation that you make for, well, wind. It's named after the first Kentucky rifle, but the principle applies to any weapon, especially when it's flying. If I'm aiming, like, right at my cameraman's belly button down there, for instance, where would I want to aim?
You would want to aim slightly high.
Slightly
and to the
high,
right of it, just like so.
To the right of it.
And because you're shooting from so far away, that small adjustment there is going to be perfect.
That's gonna just bend it right, bend those rounds right on into that belly button.
You'll have
right?
first rounds on target.
Well, Sergeant Cortez, I gotta tell you, I'm licking my chops right now. My trigger fingers are getting itchy, and I need to blow something away real bad. You know what I'm talking about? So why don't we go shoot this thing?
All right, Gunny, let's do it.
Death and destruction. Hoorah! Back in Vietnam, the Huey went into battle carrying up to 13 personnel. Like most modern choppers, the Huey is actually powered by a type of jet engine. They can lift more soldiers and fly faster than earlier helicopters, which used internal combustion engine, kind of like the one in your car. The Huey's jet is a whole different ballgame from the kind of thing that you see on the 747s. It's called the turbo shaft, and most helicopters wouldn't get very far without it. Here's how it works. A compressor sucks in air, which gets mixed with aviation gas. This ignites in a combustion chamber. The hot gases push backwards and spin the power turbine, which in turn drives a shaft, hence the name, turbo shaft. From here, it's just simple engineering to rotate the rotors and get yourself airborne. But now, let me show you what all that engineering actually means on the battlefield.
Those are the targets over there, where the smoke is, see 'em?
Those old tank targets down there represent the bad guys. Now imagine that my buddies and I are planning to set down right where they're at. Well, they're kind of spoiling my day. But the Huey's firepower is going to spoil theirs right back.
This next pass, just go trigger down. Just hold the trigger.
With a good pilot to set you up on target, the Huey and a 50 cal are a pretty lethal combination. But there was one major problem. The original Hueys were slow, making them pretty big target. And back in Vietnam, the only thing between the enemy on the ground and the air crew was a windshield called a chin bubble. What I've got here is an actual Huey chin bubble. Just a plain old piece of plexiglass, about a 1/16 of an inch thick. As you can see, it doesn't provide very much protection. Well, no, you can't see. That's okay. That's job security for the gunnies. I'll show you. For those few of you out there who ain't exactly the sharpest tool in the drawer, this happens to be an AK-47, 7.62 millimeter, the original bad guy gun. And this is the weapon that they shot at the Hueys with. So we've got that bubble up there. Let's see just how much protection it is. The melon is dead. You can see that this canopy did absolutely nothing to slow down, deflect, or stop this round. It went right through the canopy, through the watermelon, out the back, and who knows how deep it's buried in the butts back there. So Huey air crews took to rolling up their flak jackets and putting them under their feet. Did it help? Well, see for yourself. Now, let's see what happens with this setup. Oh my, Was that watermelon I saw splashing behind that vest? I don't know why we call it a flak jacket. It doesn't work. So now that I've shown you the shortcomings of our first real helicopter warbird, I'm sure you're just dying to know what the hell we did about it. Well, I'm getting to that. Don't you go anyplace, because we just might fly over your house next. Back in the early 1960s, these old girls really started something. Thanks to the good old Huey, Vietnam is considered to be the first helicopter war. But Hueys were never meant to be gunships. And as the air got thicker, these birds started going down all over the place. There was a need for a designated attack helicopter, an airborne gunslinger. Enter the Cobra, fondly referred to as the Snake. 1967. AH-1 Cobra. Range 357 miles. Speed 230 miles an hour. Maximum altitude 10,000 feet. The AH-1 Cobra sprung onto the scene in 1967 at the height of the Vietnam War. Now the A stands for attack, which I really like, and for good reason. It was one of the very first dedicated attack helicopters ever designed. The Cobra was a hot rod version of the Huey. Everything not needed for fighting was stripped off. It was a smaller target from any angle, and it was faster. The very first Cobras were 65 miles per hour faster than the Huey. Unlike the Huey, this is no transport chopper. It only seats two, a pilot and a gunner. The only thing this Snake transports is firepower. It was outfitted with a chin-mounted 20-millimeter Gatling gun, air-to-ground rockets, and grenade launchers. If you see this Snake spitting in your eyes, it is lights out. Now, I'm not sure what's gonna hurt the most, the Cobra's machine gun rounds or its rocket. I'm sure Captain Ferrari of Marine Corps Aircraft Group 39 can probably tell me that.
We have PGMs, which is a precision-guided missile.
Okay, and that bangs right through a tank, just in case you happen to run across one out there on the battlefield.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
We are tank killers.
Okay, so here we have a what?
This is the M197. It's a 20-millimeter cannon.
It shoots over 600 rounds per minute, and you only carry just over 700 rounds. You have to be a little conservative about your ammo, don't you? You have to really want to shoot that sucker, don't you?
That's right.
But the limited ammo isn't that big of a problem, because whatever the pilot looks at, he hits.
Obviously a helmet, but
It's a helmet? Yeah, so what about it?
not only is it a helmet, it actually can become part of our weapon system, where we can basically attach a railing system we have in each canopy to the back of our helmet, allowing us to slew the gun with our head movement.
The technical term is that the gun is slaved to the helmet. Sensors relay the angle of the helmet to the gun, so it copies the movement. Then the pilot just presses the trigger. It's a long ways from hanging out the door of a Huey, isn't it? The humble utility aircraft led directly to a lethal attack helicopter in just 5 years. The warriors of HMLA 267 have invited me to go for a front seat ride in the Cobra. I couldn't turn that down. Let's rock. Let's go. Ah! The Cobra is designed for fight and flight from either seat. Both pilots have a set of controls for everything. So if the Cobra's ever one man down, it's still lethal. And remember how the Huey was a sitting duck from ground fire? Well, Cobra pilots are safe inside a bullet-resistant Kevlar capsule. Hoorah! You know, a front seat ride in the Cobra is pretty thrilling stuff. It's really fun. But I'm an old grunt at heart. I need to get out the range and call the shots in. So here I go. And look, what a quinky dink. There sits a Huey helicopter. Hey guys, can I get a ride up? Right out to the range. Today I have the supreme privilege of calling in a Cobra strike. And from this vantage point, you'll see why a dedicated attack helicopter like the Cobra whips even the Huey. Greater speed, better weapons, and more accuracy. And it keeps getting better. The Marine Corps recently added 4-bladed Cobras and Hueys to the arsenal. These latest choppers can dodge and weave like a champion boxer. Normally, a Cobra strike coordinates would come from another helicopter, but today, they're coming from the ground. To be exact, they're coming from me. Stinger 5-5, this is Gunny. Advise when ready for 6 line.
Stinger 5-5, ready, copy.
My position, range 227, 335, 1200 meters. Single tank, negative mark. Final attack heading 355 to 030. Push 1 able. Come over my left shoulder and make a left pull.
Left shoulder, left pull, Stinger 5-5. Stinger 5-5 is in, heading 015.
Stinger 5-6, great effect on target. Had a couple direct hits there. Pretty good. The Cobra's rockets and guns take out tanks, vehicles, bunkers, and infantry. Nothing much survives a Cobra bite. There's an old saying, if you mess with a bull, you get the horn. Well, if you mess with a Cobra, you get the fang. Don't go away. We got plenty of whirlybird action coming up. And I'd feel really terrible if you missed it. We've seen how early combat choppers perform search and rescue missions in the mid-century. More rugged versions with better engines, like the Huey, let us carry troops to the fight. Then we streamlined the Huey and turned it into an attack helicopter, the Cobra. But we also supersized choppers to lift more warriors and weapons. Here at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, the Screaming Eagles of the 101st Airborne Division are taking me up in one of the biggest there is. And I'm about to jump from this helicopter the same way combat-ready troops dropped into a hot zone. That was good. Yes, fantastic. No question about it.
Air assault, guys.
That's just one of the things that a Chinook is good for. Hoorah! Jumping out of, yes. 1962. C-847 Chinook. Range, 450 miles. Speed, 190 miles per hour. Maximum altitude, 18,500 feet. The Chinook first flew into battle in Vietnam, carrying infantry and material to the front line. And more than 40 years later, it's still flying into hot zones. The CH in C-847 stands for cargo helicopter, but don't kid yourself, this ain't no damn minivan. No, sir, this baby goes where the action is. Hoorah! This baby is one big honker. Most helicopters can bring a squad to the combat area. This baby can bring the whole damn platoon to the party. You see, most choppers with a single main rotor, like the Huey, try to spin around in the opposite direction. They fix this by putting a small tail rotor on the back to push it the other way. You got it. The Chinook does things a little differently. It has 2 powerful rotors, each with 2,000 plus horsepower. so a Chinook can lift 8 times more than a Huey. The pilot of this fantastic bird behind me is a personal friend of mine. Let's go find out all about it.
Hey, Gunny. How you doing? Welcome
Warrant
to
Officer Marshall. Good to go.
Fort Campbell.
Everything, well, thank you very much. Good to be out here. And this is your bird, right?
Yes, sir. It is the CH-47 Chinook.
How many troops can you pack?
32 to be exact. We also have the ability to fly additional troops if we have the seats folded up.
And you can also pick something pretty heavy up with this piece of machinery, can't you?
Anywhere from 18 to 20,000 pounds is what we can carry with those hooks that we have underneath the aircraft.
20,000 pounds. Always my favorite. Where's the guns?
Well, Gunny, generally we don't fly with guns unless we're in combat.
No guns. Oh, man, that's a serious drawback. But you'd have a door gunner?
We would have a door gunner, yes. We have actually 3 M240s.
This is what an M240 looks like when it's angry. So don't make it angry.
It's mainly used for suppression only and for us to get the heck out of there because, as you can see, we make a pretty big target.
To get in and just get the hell out. Well, if it isn't built for attack, then the Chinook must be good for something else, right? What it can do without even breaking a sweat is carry a field artillery piece weighing 15,000 pounds and a 5,000-pound Humvee, all at the same time, bringing them right where they need to be. Don't believe me? Well, watch and learn, couch potatoes. We're going on a little field trip to demonstrate how this heavy hauler can be a major asset. Especially when the terrain below is just too tough for any ground-based vehicle to haul a load across it. And there you have it, job done. Back prior to Vietnam, we used to have to haul these big guns, the 155 howitzers and the 105 howitzers around behind a truck. We'd get them where we wanted them, where we needed them, but it took forever. Now we have the Chinook helicopter. We can drop one of these babies on the side of a mountain in Afghanistan in short order. Big advantage. Hoorah. So one Chinook can lift 10 tons of heavy firepower into the combat zone, where it can actually do some good.
Be advised, refinement on those last rounds was about 140 meters left and 100 meters short of the target. Over.
That amount of artillery can open up new fronts and reinforce old ones. Ah, nothing quite like the smell of black powder burning in the morning. Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Even though the Chinook was first introduced almost 50 years ago, it's still hard to beat, especially in the high-altitude terrain of Afghanistan, where it's putting our boys into LZs to fight the good fight. You don't need guns on helicopters when you got these guys around. Don't even think about going anyplace. I'll have them lock and load on your humble abode. Hoorah! Okay, you bunch of armchair chopper jockeys, we've been talking about helicopters in this hour. Now hold on to your joysticks while I bring you up to speed. Big engines and big guns made the Huey tough to beat in Vietnam, but we wanted a dedicated attack helicopter. Soon the Cobra was coiled and ready to strike. Its speed, maneuverability, and awesome firepower gave our troops a dedicated gunship, made to spit fire. But we also needed something to do the heavy lifting. So the Chinook hits the battlefield with twice the amount of rotors, giving it 8 times the lifting power. Now, we're getting warmed up. Today's modern Army flies warbirds of a different feather. And I've come to Fort Rucker, Alabama to see what the Army flew next. 1979. UH-60 Blackhawk. Range 368 miles. Speed 184 miles per hour. Maximum altitude 18,700 feet. After the Vietnam War, the Army took flight with the Blackhawk. Why? Because they needed a better utility helicopter. Kinda like a Huey, only meaner. Similar to the Huey, the Blackhawk is also a multitasker. She can be a lover 1 minute, ferrying supplies and men to and from battle, and a fighter the next minute, unleashing her own brand of mayhem on the battlefield. The Blackhawk does for the Army what the Huey does for the Marine Corps. It's a personnel carrier, and like today's Hueys, it has some neat tricks up its sleeve, like night operations. This bird turns night into day with advanced sensors and avionics. And that, my friends, opens up a whole new war-fighting schedule. But first, meet Army Warrant Officer Rice.
We have 4 MFDs, which basically multifunction displays. We can put, just like it implies, multiple functions. We can put maps, we can put our engine displays.
Gas gauge,
which is a very important one.
I would think so.
We have 2 onboard computers, flight management systems, and then
FMS?
FMS, you got it.
Oh, there we go. Acronyms, right?
Acronyms.
Military's full of acronyms.
If we didn't have acronyms, we couldn't survive.
If you say the real name, I don't know what the heck you're talking about half the time, you know. But the Blackhawk and its acronyms make the enemy pretty doggone acrimonious. If it's not delivering infantry to the enemy's door, it's spitting lead from side guns. This utility helicopter set a new standard and is used by more than 20 countries. But just like Marines had needed the Cobra, the Army needed a new attack helicopter. And boy, did they get one. 1984, AH-64 Apache. Range was 260 miles, speed 192 miles per hour. Maximum altitude 21,000 feet. Introduced 17 years after the Cobra, the Apache took the same ideas and refined them even further. For starters, it got a better weapon system. Armed with a massive 30mm chain gun and Hellfire missiles. When the Apache attacks, the enemy is in for some bad, bad medicine. I'm here with Chief Warrant Officer 3 Johnson. Now, you know, I'm one of those old guys that I've been hanging around the Cobras too much, probably, and I'm pretty sold on that. I think it's a great airframe. Why don't you sell me on this one?
Well, just like the Cobra, we carry some of the same ammunition from the old days, just a little bit modified, like the rockets. It's pretty much the same concept, but now we have different systems, a little bit of an upgraded missile.
So, what's this weapon over here?
Right here we have the Hellfire laser-guided missile.
How many can you take? 4?
Up to 4 on one rack. Possibility of having them on all 4 pylons, so you could have up to 16 Hellfire missiles.
So you're really pretty heavily armed, but one thing has really been bothering me, and it makes the aircraft ugly. And if there's any way you can get rid of it, I would recommend it. What's that damn ball up there?
That's what's called the fire control radar. We can carry a type of missile, and that radar can lock on or pick up something like a tank, Russian tank, T-72, anything of that nature.
The longbow version of the Apache can fire a variety of Hellfire missile called the Lima. Once the Apache's fire control radar identifies a target, it relays its location to this smart anti-tank missile. Then the Hellfire makes its own merry way to the bad guy, and it follows the terrain to avoid detection. Fire and forget. And did I mention it works just as well at night? I can't wait to show you. You don't even have to see it.
No.
You just push the button.
Yep.
And this thing then takes over and takes care of it. Well, that thing's getting more attractive all the time then, isn't it? It's not ugly at all. The Apache is one vicious warrior, there's no doubt about it. When they see this baby coming, the bad guys will circle the wagons and wave the white flag.
Full Night Tower, Firebird 26 is checkpoint Nelly bound for a pad on the west side. Roger, we'll clear your net.
I'm gonna show you what the enemy is in for. The boys at Fort Rucker are going to ruin somebody's sleep tonight. All in the name of educating you lounge lizards.
We're about to go on a mission that would be typical of these two helicopters. Search and destroy. The Black Hawk will get us into the hunt zone, and while we're there, the Apache will cover our butts. Okay, boys, let's go. Let's get her done.
This is Firebird 01. We'll get above 700 feet. We won't go below 700.
Okay, you guys go ahead and land, and we'll call your next hover, okay? Roger.
These new generation choppers with night capability mean no one can hide. And we can strike while the enemy's snoozing and turn their dreams into nightmares. Blackhawks and Apaches combine the best in utility with murderous firepower. Put them together when the sun goes down, and the Army is not kidding around when they say, we own the night.
Eagle 06 out of that pass look for Firebird 01. That pass looks good.
Apache pilots are seeing the night in infrared. Sensors pick up heat, and everything gives off heat. It's as good as turning on the lights. The Blackhawk uses image intensifiers. Their sensors detect the faintest image and amplify it up to daylight. Well, green daylight anyway.
You guys are clear to hover up again anytime you're ready.
Now, the Army's looking after me tonight, so they're dropping me down a safe distance from our target. And it is one hell of a front row seat. We have Apaches, we have ordnance, we have night vision gear and a target. Our goal, destroy the enemy. Let's make it happen. Bring down the rain. Firebird 01.
Firebird 02, this is the gunner. You are cleared hot.
At the predetermined target. Go for it. Bring down the rain. Hoorah.
Firebird 01 is you. Turning it bound.
The Apache uses fire control radar to locate targets invisible to the naked eye.
Tower Firebird 25, Nelly inbound. What do you got open on the west side?
And eliminate the targets with fire and forget weapons like the Hellfire.
Fire goes right on the target.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. Little firepower involved. Yeah, go get 'em. Yeah! That was nice, wasn't it? That was fantastic. Thing of beauty. Almost like the 4th of July. Hurrah! Go get 'em, boy. It's an attack capability that the Huey and Cobra helicopter just did not have back in the 60s. These guys are good at what they do. Almost as good at what they do as I am at what I do. Hurrah! Cheering them on. Yes, indeed. Yeah! The Blackhawk and the Apache, a dynamic duo tricked up with technology to acquire and destroy any foe. They don't always work together, but when they do, it's a dance of destruction. Don't you go away, Rotorhead. The next generation of helicopter gunships is heading your way. Oh, yeah. All right, so far we've seen how helicopters have gone all the way from being used as unarmed troop transports hoorah, to dedicated gunships Where can we go from here? Well, how about to the top recon attack chopper in the U.S. military today? Let me give you a hint. It has more high-tech surveillance capability than anything that's come before it. It's so maneuverable and small that it's practically invisible to radar. Oh, and it has enough firepower to blow the enemy to kingdom come. You got it yet? Look, I don't have all damn day here. Time's up, ladies. The correct answer is the OH-58D Kiowa Warrior. 1969, Kiowa Warrior. Range 299 miles. Maximum speed 132 miles per hour. Maximum altitude 19,000 feet. Here at Yakima Training Center in Washington's Fort Lewis, I got to look at this baby up close. You see that ball up there? Well, that's what they call the mast-mounted sight, the eyes of the aircraft. That ball holds a battery of high-tech sensors, high-res video cameras, thermal imaging, laser rangefinder, and I'm sure a whole bunch of other stuff that they won't even tell me about. But if you think this is just some mamby-pamby surveillance chopper, you would be sadly mistaken, mister. This bird carries some serious firepower. I'm here with Chief Warrant Officer Grubbs. Chief, this is your bird right here. This is your pride and damn joy, is it not?
Absolutely, Gunny. Right here is a 2.75-inch rocket launcher. We can also use the 50 cal machine gun. We also launched the Hellfire missile system, which is on the other side here.
What we got here now?
Okay, Gunny, what we have is the M4 carbine.
You just take that right out of there, put it, gunner puts it in his shoulder and shoots the bad guys out the door.
That's exactly right, Gunny.
Now you're gonna see the Kiowa in action, how it can locate a target and destroy it, all courtesy of the Flyboys at Fort Lewis, Washington. Let's go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Hoorah! Time to lock and load with the Kiowa Warrior. Hoorah! Let's go. The Kiowas can fly in groups of 2 with 1 helicopter spotting while the other attacks. And we've spotted today's target, that building down there. One Kiowa is locating the target and sending the information to the second Kiowa, which can now launch its Hellfire missiles at it. Hoorah! Now we're gonna send a few Hydra rockets down to the target. They're nice and simple, just point and shoot. And if the fighting gets too up close and personal, the co-pilot uses the M4 assault rifle for accurate small caliber fire. Well, you've just seen an awesome array of tasks completed. We attacked the target with all of the weaponry the big choppers use. Hellfires like the Apache, Hydra rockets like the Cobra, machine gun fire like the Huey. And we did it from a small, nimble platform that can hide from radar and visually sight far better than the big guys. Hoorah! But over at Pax River Naval Air Station in Maryland, they showed me something that's really out there. What does the future of helicopters in warfare look like? Well, you're looking at it right here. And it's looking at you. This is the MQ-8B Fire Scout. It's a UAV. That stands for Unmanned Aerial Vehicle. This helicopter is the latest and greatest the military has to offer, but the idea of unmanned flight goes back a long way. Isn't that a beauty? What a stable platform. 2003, Fire Scout. Range 125 miles. Speed 144 miles per hour. Maximum altitude 20,000 feet. The Fire Scout performs the same attack and reconnaissance tasks as the Kiowa, but it's unmanned, so it doesn't put any of our pilots in harm's way. We're gonna go talk to Captain Dunnigan, United States Navy. And obviously, Captain, you grew up playing with model airplanes.
Yes, sir, and we got a big one right now.
But you can program this thing to do a mission.
We can actually conduct an 8-hour flight with 3 mouse clicks. We can tell it to take off. It will start its mission, fly the entire 8 hours, come back to where it was told to come back to. We click another button that says proceed to land, and we click the third button that says land.
Now let's take a better look at why the Fire Scout is unmanned. This little buzzard just eats up difficult missions where no Kiowa or its pilots would want to go.
What we're looking for UAVs, what we call the 3Ds, dull, dangerous, and dirty. Dull missions, an 8-hour mission of not much activity. It's like driving your car at night on a long straight highway.
Right.
Dangerous missions, something along the lines of over into enemy territory that you're not going to be able to covertly go in and get out quickly. The other one is going to be a dirty mission, such as chem bio or nuclear assessment. Send it into an area that's dirty that potentially would be hazardous to human life. We can put the air vehicle in there, get the air vehicle back, wash it down, and not risk life and limb.
So the pilot of the Fire Scout isn't out in the field copping flak like the guys in the Hueys used to do. Remember how vulnerable they were with only a plexiglass screen between them and the enemy? See, the Fire Scout pilot controls it remotely. They can park the Humvee command module just about anywhere. Captain, explain this to me.
This is our ground control station. We have a mission payload operator and an air vehicle operator.
So this guy's objective is to fly the aircraft, get us over the target, and then his objective is to hit the target.
When we get weaponized, that's exactly what will happen.
They're already testing it for rockets and our trusty Hellfire missiles, same ones that are being used by the Apache attack helicopters.
Well, now that you've seen the aircraft up close, the control room, you know how the system is set up. We're going to go watch it work. And we're going to pretend we're Somali pirates. We'll go onto a Coast Guard boat. We're going to go out over to the river. Fire Scout's going to go up, and it's going to find us before we know Fire Scout's looking at us.
We're going upriver, and the Fire Scout is going to track us down.
Once the aircraft gets airborne, they'll take a look at us, and they'll be able to tell what type of ship we are, how many people are on board, and they'll be able to see details such as the guns that are mounted on the side. Oh, there it is again, right there.
There he is, yes. Hey, boys, what's going on? I bet they got us framed up nice and tight right now. And what you're seeing is an infrared image that lets our Fire Scout see the bad guys day or night. We got no privacy nowadays, you know? What a weapon. Eyes on the bad guys just like the Kiowa. It even has night vision systems used by the Apache and the Blackhawk, and can launch rockets just like the Cobra. But it isn't putting any of our guys in harm's way, because they're back at the office dialing in the next mission. So there you go, Devil Dogs. What started out as a dinky little search and rescue bird sure has stepped up. First, we put some serious firepower on it back in the 1960s, and we gave it the technology to be able to fight at night with weapons that were smart enough to find their own target. And now we don't even have to risk our pilots' lives to track and eliminate a target, with unmanned helicopters like the Fire Scouts setting the standard for the 21st century. So there you go. In less than 60 years, we've gone from helicopters being just flying machines to becoming one of the ultimate weapons in the skies above the battlefield. This is Gunnery Sergeant Arlie Ermy. Keep your powder dry and your eyes on the target. At ease.